Church in the middle of Springfield, or the landmark. At one time, they used to do the barbecue dinner on Saturday night, but they don't do that anymore. Bit of traditional fitness in every presentation. It was about 2:35. And this is the entrance where you check the register and give you your document. And prior to this, we unloaded the telescope on the observing field, and there was a pause in the rain, so we were able to get the telescope unloaded and assembled and covered up before it started to rain again.
And boy, did it rain.
Yeah, it was quite a bit of rain.
Stellar rain.
And usually we have a canopy that's made from the tarp and poles and ropes. And this year, Nate Nelson and Todd Nelson brought this commercial canopy about 10 feet by 20 feet, and it's really nice. And it works a lot better. This is Michael Southam, Brian Kennedy, Carl Lancaster, and Nate Nelson. And on the other end, it's Nate again, and Todd Nelson, and Dan Wright.
Dan Wright sober in that picture?
Soberish.
Yeah.
Todd, I didn't start hitting the whiskey until later that night.
Yeah.
Okay, so Thursday night, it was cloudy. There were a couple of holes. You could see one or two stars, but that was about it. Then Friday morning, it rained really heavy until about 10 or 10:30, and then the rain ended. And there was a talk, I think it was at 11 o'clock, about Springfield's historic public telescope. And this is at the Springfield Science Museum in Springfield, Massachusetts. And when they cast the mirror for the Palomar 200-inch telescope, they had some glass left over and cast 5 20-inch mirror blanks. And they got one of the mirror blanks in 1938. They spent 3 years grinding and polishing it, and then there were some delays, and they completed the telescope in 1972.
You get it from the war too.
Yeah.
Delay.
If any of you are familiar with the telescope that was at the Stanford Observatory, this looks very similar to it, and John Gregory designed the telescope in Stanford, and he was involved also in this telescope.
Is Stanford still there?
No, they tore it down and they're building a new fancy 3-story building.
That telescope is still there though, and so is the dome. So I talked to, it's just pushed away. It
Really?
Yeah, that stuff is still there. It's supposed to go to New Mexico, and it hasn't gone yet.
Okay,
But yeah, it's still up there.
but the building's been torn down and they broke ground for the new $12 million building with a 40-foot planetarium.
Oh, not telescope.
Well, there'll be a roll-off roof with a telescope in it, nothing like the 22-inch, I don't think.
The Stanford new facility sounds spectacular though. What they're gonna open up here soon in Stanford in place of that is gonna be amazing. Sounds really good.
No, it doesn't. We're so much better.
Yeah.
Second to us.
Yeah, at Stellafane, they used to put up a tent for the talks, and about 10 or 15 years ago, they put up this building, which is much better. The old tent, it would always rain and the floor would be muddy, and this is bigger and nicer. So that's where they do the talks. And Friday afternoon, Phil Harrington gave a talk. Here, well, title of the talk is the history of Stellafane, and this is a picture of one of the very early Stellafane. He talked about some of the people that used to attend Stellafane year after year. Walter Scott Houston wrote the Deep Sky Wonders column in Science Telescope for many years. He used to always be there. Here he was playing Frisbee. And Roger Tuthill was another one. They had an area called the they had Tuthill. couple of pounds, I don't know. But anyway, he built telescopes, but he also had a business selling supplies, solar filters. And he has also passed away. Now Nagler is still around.
Wow.
He used to actually in the telescope competition, and every year he donates thousands of dollars worth of eyepieces for the raffle. The big supporter of Stellafane. And toward the end of the talk, he had a rapid slideshow with music, and showing a lot of pictures. This is, he says, the real VIPs of Stellafane, and these are a lot of our members. This is Carl Lancaster, Michael Southam, Ryan Kennedy, Bill Harrington, Rob Guesto, and Ben.
I'm a hero.
And this is Carl, and Ryan.
Like that.
Hey, Carl.
It
It's a nice hat.
That's got some years on it.
And Dan had this white binocular map that looked exactly like this. He had the gravity chair, but that's not Dan, that's somebody
That
else.
is me.
It is?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, okay.
That's me. That's my very first Stellafane.
Oh, I thought that was a couple years later, it was somebody else.
That's me.
Okay.
He did, is it?
That is Dan.
It's still here, yeah.
So you made the slide.
I think it's so dangerous. That binocular mount is frightening and scary. It is. It's awesome, but it's really scary. Tough to use.
And this is the observing field. This is about 2:30 in the afternoon on Friday. And you can see our 25-inch telescope with our ladder. When we cover it up, we tilt the ladder over with the telescope over the ladder. And that's the observatory. There's a small observatory here, and then at the top of the hill is the Shootman telescope for the local observatory. And there was a lot of mud where we were camping. The roadway was very muddy, and around the cars, as I walk around my van, my foot sunk about an inch into the ground. It's a squish. But the rest of the where the canopy was, and the rest of the fence was fine. There you can see the trailer and the canopy. And this is a large Dobsonian, but it's not ours. This is John Voigt's 32-inch telescope. He brings it, he built it himself and entered it probably 20 years ago, and he brings it every year. But usually the biggest telescope there. This is about 7:15. The sky is clear. Our telescope has the blue tarp over it. And this is Carl Lancaster's telescope. It's an 18-inch.
Yeah.
18-inch telescope. Award-winning.
Design.
Yeah,
You get one of the red color, really nice.
It's a gorgeous telescope.
You,
so Friday night they have what they call tent talks, where anybody wants to can give a 10-minute talk on any topic related to astronomy. And the first talk was by a teenager, and it was a review of the Celestron Star Sense 10-inch Dobsonian. And instead of having electronics in the telescope, it's a little saddle that holds a cell phone with a diagonal mirror, so that the cell phone camera is pointed in the same direction as the telescope. And it can look at the sky and know where you're pointing and direct you to whatever you want to look at. And so it works pretty well. And
We've had them up here a couple times, and they are fun to use. It is amazing how accurate and how quickly you can bang things out using that. So yeah, one of our members has one. We were using it with them. It's fun. It's a neat telescope.
so that was the first talk. And the next one was about the Artemis II. And that's flight is going to go, it's going to be manned this time, go around the moon. But it's not going to go into orbit around the moon, go around the moon and come back and splash down.
When is that scheduled to launch? Is it 10 years from now? Or?
I think it's, sometime in the next 6 months or so.
No, it's not, no, it's
Next
next
year.
year, it's been pushed to next year. It's a 2024 thing.
It's way long.
Yeah.
Seems to take forever. And there was a talk about the Ward Ross telescope, which is the, when it was built, was the largest telescope in the world and remained the largest for 100 years. And this is the original telescope, but in 1995, they replaced it with a replica. Notice all the ivy on it. And here's the replica. Notice much ivy.
Where is it?
It's in England. I'm not sure exactly where.
So it's the one at the bottom there,
Well, this is the end of the tube,
right?
and it lifts up, and it's done with ropes and pulleys. They can aim it, and then it has these various steps. And
So other than altitude, you have to wait for something to come over.
yeah, you're limited on, you can't look east or west. Yeah.
Right, so you just go up and down and just wait for something to come to you, right?
You can move a little bit left and right, but
Yeah.
England has a clear sky once every 6 months.
That's why they call this New England.
Well, he discovered the spiral arms of M51 in the first.
It's in Ireland.
Ireland.
Yeah, Burr Castle, Parkintown, Parkintown.
Okay.
Oh, you're close, Bob.
Okay. Yeah. It's somewhere. Another Kings anyway.
They spoke the same language.
Then it'll talk on duct tape. You can get red duct tape, which can be used to make a red flashlight. And
I drove up to Vermont to hear that.
yeah. And this guy came up with a system for finding things in light polluted skies. And there's a cell phone mounted here, and it's got a program to show what's in the sky, the same field of view as the binoculars. And they're 50mm binoculars that were made in it with a 3D printer, with diagonals on the eyepieces. And so you match the pattern on the phone to what you see in the binoculars. Then it's got a green laser that shoots up, and then you use the red dot finder on your telescope to point at the end of the laser beam, and then look through the telescope and find the end of the laser beam. And then you're on. So that's supposed to be an easy way to find things. It seems like a Rube Goldberg, but okay. Then at that point, I left, and it was clear, and we had some viewing, but then I had trouble with the go-to. So
You left because your notebook was full of notes from the duct tape box.
yeah.
Was it a child talking about wrecking?
No. And this is Saturday morning. They have these swap tables. I went over just to mainly take pictures, books, all kinds of books for sale, junk and tools. I was thinking about buying a bike, but I didn't want to carry it. And Westport telescope and different astronomy items, and this is glass blanks and prisms and cubes. If you're not fishing, you might enjoy that. And, these binoculars, these are 80mm by 15 power binoculars. I don't know, price wasn't that. So then I headed over to the competition at the Breezy Hill, which is the location of the Pink Clubhouse. So under the green canopy is a guy with a parallelogram mount for binoculars. So he won an award for innovative component. The thing is, when they give the awards, they don't really explain how the device works. It's just binocular mount, safe balance system. So the counterweight is inside this box, and it can slide along here, but I'm not sure what the safe balance system means. It's really nice, woodwork on it. Very good at close up of the counterweight.
So there's that you just supposed to have a lot where it's. I don't put stuff there.
Right, yeah, so the binoculars over here have them counterweighted to a weight
Yeah, I
this
love
side. And it's so you can find something in the binoculars, you know, someone else, his collar or shoulder and move it up and down and look at the same thing. Yeah, this is besides, there were a lot of telescopes there on display because besides the new telescopes that were in the competition. Being the 100th anniversary, they invited people to bring telescopes that were on display previously. A lot of them were ones that had won awards in the past. This is a 6-inch F5 that was in the competition in 2012, built by Glenn Jackson, who was a former member here. He has moved away. And this is a 50mm coronagraph. And it won an honorable mention in the special category. The special category is something other than a complete telescope. So he didn't build the mount for it, he just built the tube assembly and the coronagraph. So you can see it's wrapped in insulation. And it's just straight through. A lot of times they have a diagonal that's a Herschel wedge, but his whole coronagraph and occulting disc is inside this black tube. And basically it blocks out the center of the sun, but also eliminates all the diffracted light. So that you can actually see the corona. That's a photograph, shows the corona. Without having to wait for a solar eclipse. Go to a solar eclipse. Okay, this was a 16-inch job. And this won first prize for mechanical design and second prize for craftsmanship. And this was built by Dimitrios Papadopoulos.
Totally Greek to me.
Yeah. This is a close-up of the top of it, showing the finer scope and the focuser. And this one was built by the same guy. And this one won first place in craftsmanship. This is a 9 1/4 inch and 5.1. I'm not sure how they, well, they just craftsmanship by looking at the details. At first glance, I don't know.
Here's the science.
It looks like a sonotube.
Yeah, that's on a tube with a shiny finish. But that won first place in craftsmanship. And this is one of the heritage ones. This is a bowling ball mount. See the green bowling ball there. And it allows you to point the telescope in any direction just by sliding the bowling ball. But underneath the bowling ball is now there's an axle. Oh, yeah. They're usually like particle board inside. There's an axis here that this space rotates on. And so a motor that turns this threaded rod and moves this lever. And that gives you tracking, so we can track for usually an hour or two in this kind of setup. And then when it gets to the end, you just release a clutch here and turn this crank and move it back.
Michael just said a second ago, that's there.
Okay, this is a binocular chair. It won second place in the special category. And also an innovative component, azimuth rotation system, which I'll show you a picture of.
That's funny. That chair is fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a gravity chair. And it sits on a base that swivels. And you see the disc on the back. That's it.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's weird. It's got teeth all the way around and there are teeth on the bottom, so you just move this and the chair turns. Which turns to the binoculars.
You didn't get me the one you did. I gave it the weight test.
Yeah.
I think I was gonna test those two harder.
Yeah, it was a challenge. But it worked. Getting out was hard.
The old shoehorn out.
And this one was not in this year's competition, but I'm sure I've seen this sometime in the past. Beautiful machining on it.
Big Kelly's.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Big Kelly's one. Yeah, that's it right there on the right. Stellafane convention. On the-
Oh, really? I thought, is he one of the judges?
Used to be, used to be.
Oh,
He might be anymore. He's a mechanical whiz. I mean, that is.
Oh, amazing, yeah, for sure, he's done such cool stuff. But that's really an amazing telescope.
okay, this is a 5-inch f7. It won second place in mechanical design. And it was built by Asif Khan from Mumbai, India. So he came all the way from India with this telescope. And won an award. The 60mm f16 refractor. And the tripod is really nice, and it has this fancy, really fancy wooden box for eyepieces. These are all 0.96-inch eyepieces. And this is from the 1960s, 10-inch f6. And it got an antique restoration award. And you can see that the tube is held on by ropes and turnbuckles.
That's the spirit of stuff.
It is,
And
right?
pipes. So.
And pipes, yeah,
Yeah, right now.
yeah, that's great.
Tired of the plastic with the big glasses.
That's got thumb screws and springs. Where's Al Gutman? And this is a 6-inch f6.5, tied for first place for optical for small Newtonians.
Looks like a toy.
Well, it's only 6 inches. He wanted the eyepiece to be at an angle, so instead of mounting the box square, he had to put it on a 45-degree angle. Dogs are allowed, they're on a leash and they behave. And this one, an award in 2019, first place in optical, the 8-inch at 5.6. The ones that have a white tag are the ones that are centennial display rather than being in the competition. Okay, this is 10-inch f4.5 honorable mention for mechanical design. This is a travel scope. The whole thing will fit in the plastic box under the table. I guess this wood panel on the side is a dust cover. It's hinged and it will cover the mirror. And you can see the base. So this ring has Formica on it, and then there's on each corner there's a roller on the inside of that ring, keep them out to rotate and stay centered. See it a little better. This is an 8-inch, 4.5, and it won third place for craftsmanship. And it's all made out of laser cut 3mm backwood. That's cool. They have dozens and dozens of little pieces that fit together and they're all screwed. I assume they don't disassemble everything when they transport it. Because even these poles are like box beams. They're strips on the edge that have tabs sticking through them, these brown lines. This is lightweight. Okay, this is Mark Sproul, who is the guy who helped us with our ash dome. He came here and helped us install the geared dome drive. And he built this telescope using 3D printing. It's a 5-inch f10 refractor. And the tube is made out of like 5-inch long pieces. And this is one of the pieces. It's got these square tubes on the bottom, and they're square metal tubing goes through there to stiffen the whole thing, keep it aligned and straight. He also made a large number of baffles from the inside, so it's fully baffled. I think the focuser and the objective were commercial. Okay, this is a 6-inch f4 astrograph. You can see the tripod is made out of hockey sticks. And the mount is all wood.
Well, that would be Will, that's probably pretty stiff.
Yeah, it looks like there are 3 on each one, but the only 2 are attached to the top. I think this one can extend to just to a level up perspective.
That's a very solid design, actually.
Yeah. And there's a motor here, there's slow motion control, and another one up there, moving a threaded rod for slow motion control. Okay, this one is really interesting design because the eyepiece is stationary. And there are 2 mirrors here. The objective is it's a refractor. The objective is here, the light comes down, hits a mirror, goes into the other tube and reflects up to the eyepiece. And so no matter where it's pointing in the sky, the eyepiece is in exactly the same spot. And so there's a counterweight to balance the tube, there's another counterweight on the other side to balance it left to right.
So how do you find a spot in the sky? I guess I don't remember seeing that one.
Well, I mean, it looks
Looks
like
like
it
a
looks
left like this.
line.
There we go.
There's a knob that comes on a bar that comes down and turns this screw and moves this, but this can only move a short distance, so I think there must be a friction clutch here. So I guess while you're sitting there, you've got to reach out and point the telescope. And then it would pivot around this axis, you know. And that
Maybe just hand pull it to the kind of general direction you want to be in. You
Yeah.
fine tune it with the other stuff.
yeah. So the person who built this has passed away, and the current owner brought it in for display.
It's kind of almost like a Springfield mount too, because it would be perfect if you're in a wheelchair
Yeah,
that you could look at this without the eyepiece
Right.
going all over the place.
so like you said, you do need some way to point it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 2-man scope.
Yeah. Okay, this is a image at 8, and that's, I know about that. This is a altitude or azimuth mount, wood. And this is also an altitude azimuth mount, and it's got scales on it. There's one here for elevation, and there's one here for azimuth. And so I think you can use this handle to move it for rough pointing. And then there's a knob here and a knob here for fine adjusting. And let me show you the photo. See the knob on the side turns 2 small gears to move these wooden gears. And there's also a support here to hold an iPad. Because you basically, in an iPad, you tell you the azimuth and elevation of the object you're trying to find. That keeps changing. This goes basically from 0 to 90 degrees, so can read 36 degrees there, or can read 36 degrees there. And you can see the scale here for the azimuth. Very nice woodwork.
That's really nice.
So, yeah. And the same guy had this Dobsonian with a scale for elevation. And then for azimuth, he actually had a shaft going up this, what was behind this pole. And there's a little shelf, and on the back of the shelf, the shaft turns this right angle drive is from like a drill right angle. Turn a gear that turns a bigger wheel. And that's visible from the other side. So you can read the azimuth up by this little table. This is another older entry. This one won third place for mechanical design. It's a 10-inch F5. And it does have a pulley drive going down to an encoder here. And I think, well, that's an electric focuser. Okay, this was the first place junior mechanical and also antique restoration award. It was built between 1947 and 1960. And it's 3.5-inch F11, and that's the boy on the far right. As far as I know, that was the only junior entry. Anybody know any other?
Something was placed. That makes it hard to get second place then.
Yeah. And this is the right angle binoculars that go. Finding system. Laser. Okay, this is really amazing. This guy is a professor at MIT, a physics professor, and he designed this telescope that's a pretty new design, unlike anything else I've ever seen. It's 180 millimeters, which is 7.1 inches, and f2.8. And it won, because he didn't design the mount, it was in the special category. He won first in the special category. And he also got innovative component for focal plane tilt adjust, which I wasn't even aware of that when he was describing it. And I wanted to get a better picture of this, and I asked if I could take a picture of it. He told me no. I had already taken this picture when I was talking to the judges. With the lens in the front, and then a mirror in the back. The mirror is silvered on the back surface, so the light goes through the glass, reflects off, goes through the glass again, then comes to the secondary mirror, and then there are a couple of lenses here. And then the center, there's no hole in the center of the primary mirror. Instead, it's just an area that's not silvered, so the light passes through that lens again. And it's also got a built-in motorized filter wheel. So it's pretty unique to have such a large aperture, such a fast F number. Yeah. There you can see the guy who designed it. This is an 8-inch f6, and it won first place optical small Newtonian in the master class category. If you're a professional optician or a professional machinist, or you've won first place in the past, then you go into a separate category, which is the master class. That gives other people a chance to win an award. You're not always competing with all these professionals. And here's our group, that's Carl Lancaster, Dan Wright, and me.
That's the unusual suspects.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Motley crew.
That brick walls under some real pressure.
Yeah.
Makes restoration.
I think restoration. Yeah.
Thank the Romans for the cement.
This is from the pink house, pink clubhouse looking out over the competition field.
So Bob, would you say this was a normal attendance or more attended or?
I think it's more.
It looks like you had a lot more to cover.
Yeah.
Very last year,
Yeah, it was slim pickings last year. But yeah, there was more people there this year for sure.
And
This.
this was also in the master class. This is a sheaf spiegler, which means it's got
Parker Dugan?
I looked it up. Oblique mirrors. Or oblique reflector, oblique mirrors, I think. So the primary mirror is in this little hexagonal box. It's a 6-inch mirror. And then the light comes up through an opening in the bottom of the tube to the second mirror here, and then down to the eyepiece.
Oh, that's good.
And the idea is to have an unobstructed reflecting telescope. But to get rid of the aberrations, they have to make it a very long focal length and do the things with the tilt and the shape of the mirrors.
I think the telescope in the McGregor like that.
What?
The telescope in the McGregor is like that.
That's a Shootman telescope, and that's, I think it's got a lens and then a mirror made out of the same glass with the silvering on the back of the mirror. So it's, you also see, sometimes you see tri-sheath speaklers that have 3 mirrors, so I'm not sure what the exact difference is.
A sheep spiegler is a crooked mirror.
That's what that means?
My book said oblique mirror.
I like crooked, that's the.
Okay. And here you can see the primary mirror and the opening at the bottom.
That's so
That
weird.
is goofy
It's
television.
an F-34, so it's got a very small field of view. So it's mainly for
Planetary.
planets and double stars.
Double stars.
Oh, it has good contrast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is another one of the older telescopes. There you go, fork mount, the poles. Pre-restoration. This is another one with a fork mount. It is sort of a cone shaped. For the center wheel, the rest of the rollers. Yeah, Saturday night they had their barbecue dinner. You have to order in advance. You have a choice of ribs or barbecue chicken. And the rest of the time they had this concession stand open, and this is a permanent building now. And it has a pretty good selection. So you could get a quick hamburger or thank you yourself. And they had a big tent with a dining area right beside it. And this is the Saturday night talks. It's the 100 years of the Springfield telescope making from 1923 to 2023.
That's impressive.
And it was very packed. I sat near the front, so you're not seeing the full crowd. It was a large crowd there. And they do the raffle, and then they do give you all the awards for the telescope competition. And then they have a short talk, what's it called? Shadowgram, which is sort of somebody just raving about how great Stellafane is. And then the keynote speaker was Joe Rayo, who's a an eclipse chaser. And he, at one time, well, he used to organize trips to different eclipses all over the world. And there was this one eclipse that's going to be over the ocean, over the Pacific Ocean. And so the only way to see it would be on an airplane. So we actually checked all the airplane schedules to see if any commercial airplane would be in the area at the right time. And he found one, and he contacted the airline, and they contacted got board approval, and they actually did it. And they had to sit on the ground for like 40 minutes, delay the flight by 40 minutes in order to get there at the right time. And they were a little nervous that people who were not there for the eclipse might complain, but they were all thrilled to be able to see an eclipse.
Wow.
So it worked out really well. And he did that one other time. This is the airline, which I don't think is in the business anymore.
You have to do with that.
And this was actually before the Saturday night talks. We took down the canopy.
Did you get to see through any of those telescopes?
No, the Pink Clubhouse is like a 15-minute walk from where our observing area is, where we are. And so I usually don't make it over there. I don't know if anybody else would go over there.
Bill went over, I didn't. It was so cold too, that after the rains had gone through, it really got cold at Stellafane this year.
Like what, 40s?
No, low 50s. At night it was 50.
But all damp, right?
Yeah, and it was, I don't know how damp it was, you know, after the rains and stuff kind of dried out, but it was cold. I was in my hammock and
Well, you didn't say overnight at Connecticut Star Party. Connecticut Star
No.
Party was much colder.
yeah,
I have a thermometer on my drywall line, and at 7 o'clock Sunday morning, it was 48 degrees.
thank you.
Nothing. Cherry Springs,
Right,
And windy.
Yeah, sometimes they're even, it gets a lot colder than that. This was a fairly early CSB. Okay, this is Sunday morning with the telescope loaded up in the van. And so next year, Stellafane is August 1st to the 4th. Just had the Connecticut Star Party last weekend. And that's, well, it was a hurricane, so it was cloudy on Friday. We didn't even bother going. I went Saturday morning, and it was clear, very clear Saturday night, but there was wind. It was like
it
10
really
miles an hour constantly, and then would gust. At one point, I had the telescope at an angle, and a gust of wind actually moved it. It sits on a wooden base, and it slid it off the base.
we never seen that ever before. Yeah, so it actually blew the telescope off the base as we were there. I'd never seen that before. Well, we did see a Starlink train. We saw that. We saw the ISS. We saw beautiful views of Saturn. We went through the Stellafane Olympics list and a bunch of nebula. Saw some good stuff.
A lot of times you had to wait for the telescope to stop shaking. The wind was
Right.
Okay, that's.
We cleaned up on the raffle, but we didn't get the scope this year.
Yeah, I know. We were close on a bunch of other things too. We were just, Shannon spent a lot. Bob was forced to spend $20 and.
You get the red goggles again, Dan?
No, I didn't know that. And stop getting the red goggles. So they don't do the red goggles anymore. No, I got them all.
Thank you, Bob.
Hey, Bob.